Hello everyone, welcome to this video on how to create a 3D layered birthday banner in Cricut Design Space and save to Silhouette Studio as an SVG file. Disclaimer, I am not a professional. I have been working with both softwares, but I do not know all of the tips, tricks, and shortcuts of either software. Okay, so here I'm going to go to Shapes, select a circle. I'm then going to unlock the sizing and then change the width and the height to 0.88. The sizing is totally up to you on what you decide to use. Here I am going to take the circles and duplicate them and just kind of practice on working on the alignment. I would like to say there is no rhyme or reason as to how many circles I am choosing to put, or to put together. I'm just kind of eyeballing it and see what I think looks best. Okay, and from here I just select them all and group them together and then duplicate. I initially duplicated them 3 times, one for the right side, left side, and the bottom. I am then going to, adjust them and move them around to see what alignment I would like best for each section. So here I'm just going to take those 2 outer circles and delete them. I am going to select that bottom row, group those together and duplicate. Okay, from here I took that duplicated row and I'm just trying to kind of size it up, align it, and see where I want it. I ungrouped the left and the right column of circles and just deleted the top ones, and then I was able to align that duplicated row of circles across the top. At this point, I'm just going back through, highlighting each row and each column of circles and grouping them back together. Now I'm just going to head back over to Shapes, choose a square, and I'm going to adjust the size to fit within and overlap that circle border that I just created. Okay, so at this point, after aligning the rectangle with the border that I just created, I ended up duplicating the rectangle, thinking I would use it for future use, but I ended up cutting that clip out. At this point, I'm just highlighting both the rectangle and the scallop edge and welding them together. I'll then jump forward to show you that I went to Cricut Access to look for a rounded edge square, which I don't have Cricut Access anymore, so there weren't any that were free. Now I'm going to move on to working my way through here and realizing I could just create my own scallop rectangle or square. So from here, I went through and I created 4 circles. Then you'll need to drag the circles onto the rectangle, and you'll need to choose align top, align right, and then you'll have your next circle align top, align left. I'm sorry, I got that backwards, but you can see what I'm doing on the screen. And then you'll select the last 2 circles. You're going to align bottom, left, align bottom, right. I could have just dragged all the circles onto the rectangle, which I did do later on. This is just me, again, working my way through, not thinking about any of the shortcuts. The way my mind works is kind of scattered and all over the place. So now that the circles are aligned, I'm just going to go through and select one of the circles and the rectangle, and then click on Slice. And I'm going to do that for all 4 corners. Click on the circle, or select the circle, select the rectangle, and then slice. And when you're doing this step, you can either select the shapes from your canvas. You would just select your first shape, hold shift, and then select the next shape, or you could do the same on the side panel. Select the shape, hold shift, and select another shape on the side panel. Now at this point, I'm just working my way through, trying to make sure that I am slicing the rectangle properly with the circles. You do want to make sure that those little, those outer sides of the circle leave a little corner piece on each corner of the rectangle. Now you'll need to go to the contour menu, and you're just going to highlight each of those little triangle corner pieces so that you can hide them. Once you do that, you're going to take each circle back onto the rectangle, and we're going to follow again with the align top, align right, align top, align left, align bottom, align right, align bottom, align left. From here, you're going to select your rectangle, you'll weld it together. And now you have your rounded corner rectangle. We're going to select all the leftover circles, go ahead and delete those. So now I'm going to go back through resizing here just to make sure that it's, you know, kind of even, just to see if I like the look of it. Not necessarily choosing a specific size or anything. It's just that I'm trying to make sure that I like how the scallop edge looks around. I duplicated that rectangle and changed the color just so I can get an idea of how it, you know, of I guess each border of each layer, I could say. Here I'm just still playing around with the sizing just to see how much scallop border for each layer I want to have. So now I'm going to zoom out so I can go ahead and select that full shape. I'll group that together and I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm simply going to say happy birthday. So I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate how many I need, how many of these banner pieces I need for the saying. Now, after I've duplicated them enough times, I went ahead and selected the 8 and grouped those together. Then I selected the next 5, grouped those together, and now I'm just aligning. This is just me working through in my own mind. You don't have to do this step. So next I'm going to go through and select the first row. I'm going to ungroup that, and then I'm just going to select select the base layer from the panels. At this point, I'm going to change the color so I can get a better visual. All I'm doing is holding my shift key, going down the side panel, and selecting shift to get them all. And then I go over to the color swatch and choose the color that I want to use. Now that I've chosen the color for the base layer, I'm going to go back to the side panel and I'm going to go for that middle layer. Holding my shift key, just going through on the side panel and selecting each of the middle layer rectangles. And back to the color swatch so that we can choose the color that we want for the middle layer. So at this point, you want to repeat the process with selecting your top layer rectangles. Again, I'm just holding shift, going up my side panel and clicking on each of the top layer rectangles and selecting my color. I did want to add that you don't necessarily have to put this in your cut plans as far as the rectangles. You can just use a scrapbook piece of paper, you know, whatever size you want to use, cut out the size that you desire, and then use a round corner punch. Now I proceed to the text menu. I'm using the Ask Why font that I purchased from Creative Fabrica. It fits the Bluey theme for the banner that I am creating. So at this point, I start to work with the lettering. I go ahead and ungroup the letters. I start with my H, and you'll see me where I go in and adjust the sizing, and then I will offset that letter H because this also will be layered or 3D, depending on how you put, you know, your banner together. So at this point, I realize what size I want my letters to be. So I just go in and select my H. I ungroup it and then I go ahead and unlock it. And I put it as a 3 by 4. I delete the offset and then I add another offset for my new size of a 3 by 4 letter. Of course, I then go in and change the offset color, again, just for visual purposes. I proceed to do that with the next letter A and so on and so forth. Now, after I've gone through to resize each letter, I try to select them all just so I can change the color all at once. Once I've done that, I go ahead and do the offset for each letter and change the offset color, group them together, and place them on the banner piece. So now I am bringing in the print and cut elements as well as another embellishment that I'm going to layer for 3D as well. Now, once those are uploaded to the canvas, you will see me go through and just separate them. And I will then just kind of fiddle around and work with the cloud. And I'm going to head over to shapes. I'm going to choose a circle here so that I can slice the layers of the cloud. Layers are sliced. I then go ahead and separate to see what I want to keep. Here I'm just kind of fiddling with the cloud, playing with the offset to see how I want to incorporate this into the design. Now I'm just working with the sizing and the placement of the Bluey design elements. These will actually be print and cut. At this point, I go back to the clouds. I realize that I want a single layer cloud, so I just go through and ungroup them and delete the offset. Now I head back to Cricut Design Space and search for a sun. Now I have my sun. I'm just going to offset it and change the color for the sun and the shade for the offset. I'm going to play around a little bit with sizing. And now at this point, I am going to group it all together and duplicate it. From here, I'm going to hide the original that I created. Now at this point, I'm going to dissect the duplicate one. Each layer needs to be separated. Now, once you've completed separating all of the layers here in Cricut Design Space, if you don't want to, have the file as an SVG or you're not going to be using Silhouette Studio, once they're separated, you can go ahead and click on Make It. And this is the last step for you as far as Design Space is concerned. Now, once I complete separating each layer, I will be selecting it all, and that's just so I can get it as a group, and then I'm going to enlarge it as much as I can on the canvas. I'm doing that because I will be taking a screenshot, and you want to make sure that you can capture as much detail in that screenshot as you can. I'm using a Mac computer, so I selected to do the Command-Shift-4 so that it gives me the option of just selecting the specific area that I want to screenshot versus screenshotting my entire screen. Now that I have the screenshot, I'm just going to open it in Silhouette Cameo. At this point, I am adjusting the size again, and I'm just making it as big as the canvas in Silhouette Studio. So again, I can catch as much detail as possible. I'm going to go ahead and select the trace option, and then just work on adjusting to see what I'll need to trace it, and you're going to choose trace and detach. Now once that is completed, you can see here it traced most of it, but there's a couple that are stuck together, a couple of the rectangle portions, so I'll just go ahead and delete those, and then I'll go ahead and duplicate them with ones that are left over that are individual. Now the next step is just going to be to remove the background from that trace and detach, and then just take a few of the design components off of the canvas, just to make sure they don't have a background attached to them. At this point, I'm going to go to the File menu and Save As, and then I'll go ahead and name it, and then as far as the format, I'm going to select to save it as an SVG. Once I do that, I am going to close out the file, and I'm going to choose not to save it when Silhouette pops up to ask you, because it will save it as a Silhouette Studio 3 file, and we don't want it. We just want it as an SVG. And then I'll go back in once it's gone, once I close it out, and then reopen it and double check the file. Now this video is just about creating the file, so if you'd like to see how to assemble the banner, get all the pieces and layers together, then please leave a comment below.
Tra la 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 la, sing a happy song.